Okay, so I know that you guys have been having a whole lot of fun doing all this graphing stuff, and you've just been asking yourself, when are we going to do tangent? I want to graph the tangent function. You're in luck, because we're doing it today. All right, so let's start with some basics. It all starts with the parent function. What does it look like? What are the numbers? All that kind of stuff, okay? So, all comes back to the unit circle. And remember how we were talking about, we're concentrating on the zeros and the ones and all that. So, let's start with it. Remember, tangent is y over x. So, at 0, tangent is 0 over 1, which is 0. Okay? Now, why did I put pi over 4 in here? We haven't done that yet. It was always 0, pi over 2, pi. Well, because, think about it. What's tangent at pi over 4? Well, it's just 1, right? Because it's square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2 becomes 1. Okay, at pi over 2, it's 1 over 0, which is undefined. It would help if I put things in the right spot. Okay, and then at 3 pi over 4, you're at negative 1, because you're in the second quadrant now, so tangent's negative in the second quadrant. And at pi, you're back to 0. Okay, and then if you were to keep going, I'm not going to write any more down, but if I was to keep going, you have 0, 1, because it's negative and a negative, make a positive. Undefined, because it'd be negative 1 over 0. Negative 1, 0. So here's the huge change for tangent. And it's really one of the few, okay? Your period is now pi. For sine and cosine, it took you all the way, you had to go all the way around to 2 pi in order to start like repeating the pattern. Well, now your pattern starts repeating at pi, because you got 0, 1, undefined, negative 1, 0, same thing, 1, undefined, negative 1, 0. So your period is pi. So that's the big thing that we need to make sure that you still do, okay? Now, other than that, everything else pretty much stays the same except for when you get to the graphing and undefined thing, which I'm going to show you in a second, right? But everything else stays the same, and you're going to still do all the same stuff that you did before, right? Your amplitude is 1. Your K is 1. Your period. Okay, now again, here's where the change comes in. It's now pi divided by K. Our increments, sorry, I forgot about that one, are still the same. You're taking your period and you're dividing it by 4. Your phase shift, you don't have one. Your vertical shift, you don't have it. Okay? So again, big thing, big change. Your period is pi, okay? And which is going to change your increments a little bit, okay? So, increments. Some of you guys are having a big problem with this when we started doing the last one. This is what you count by on the x-axis, right? These are your things. So it's pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, which is half of pi, 3 pi over 4, and 4 pi over 4. The negatives stay the same. Okay, and now you graph, right? We have here's our parent function right here. The 0, 1, undefined, negative 1, 0. That's your parent function. So at 0, it's 0. At pi over 4, you've got 1. At pi over 2, it's undefined. What do you do for a graph when it's undefined? You make an asymptote, right? Okay, we'll talk more about that in a second. At 3 pi over 4, you're at 0. I'm sorry, you're at negative 1. Messed that up. And at pi over 4, you're at 0. Okay, I'm going to keep going before I draw lines, just so you can see what's happening here. Okay, now, this is the part that's always been tricky when you guys are starting to do the left-hand side. Do not just go, oh, let me just flip this over. Doesn't work. Okay, you have to make sure you're following your pattern backwards. One way, start all the way over here. 0, -1, undefined, 1, 0. Coming from right to left, what do you think has to be next? You went 0, -1. Right, then what's next? Undefined. What's next? 1. And then 0. Okay? The other thing that you guys can start doing with this is write out the pattern multiple times. So go 0, 1, undefined, -1, 0. 0, 1, undefined, -1, 0. Right? Keep writing out the pattern and then start here. Start in the middle. Go right to right, left, left, same thing. Okay, and then here's your graph. Now, big thing that we have to make sure about with these, remember what an asymptote means and what it does. Okay, it means your graph is undefined at that point. Okay, so remember, the graph never actually touches the asymptote. It gets really close to it, but it doesn't actually touch. Okay, that's the parent function. Okay, good timing as it falls down. But that's the parent function, so just in the next couple of videos I'm going to do some examples, but as you can see, the actual graphing aspect of it is very similar to what we've already been doing. It's just you have to follow a new pattern. All right?